And then what I just was getting to last time is that he predicted there would also be a cube interspersed inside our galaxy itself, which of course got me very excited when I read this, because I'd already figured out the same thing, not knowing that he postulated this in a much older book, because the book wasn't on his website till after he died and his wife uploaded it. So let's go through now that part of his book and see what he had to say and how it compares with fascinating real-world data. Let's take a look. So he predicted this stunning discovery many years in advance of a cubical energetic structure on a galactic scale. If you put a cube inside the galaxy and the galaxy rotates through it, that means that you're going to hit 4 corners, if you will, or 4 lines that are equally spaced from one another as the galaxy rotates once. Now what you're seeing here is a diagram that I had made, and we'll explain this as we go on even more. But for right now, the important part is the exterior geometry, which here is an octahedron like 2 Egyptian pyramids base to base. Notice that this creates 4 nodes, and those nodes exist right in the plane where the stars are. So what I'm trying to get you to visualize here is that that geometry is not moving, it's stationary, and the stars move through it. And then as we hit those corners, there is not only energetic releases from the stars involved, from the sun, but there is DNA reprogramming that takes place, because this is intelligent fractalized holographic geometry. It's geometry that has the codes to change life. It is a living, conscious being. Even though it's a geometry, it also has a computer-like hard drive loaded with biological information and consciousness. So when we hit these things, we get ascension. We get DNA activation, we get consciousness acceleration, and in this case, we get a spiritual activation into some higher level of what it means to be human. And as I've been showing you in many of the previous episodes, we actually do see that galaxies have geometric patterns in the way they look. They're not just round. This geometry absolutely exists, and it's pushing them into certain shapes, which Aspen didn't know that, yet he still figured it out on his own. So let's take a look here at what he got. He called it the fourfold galactic cycle. He said, on a longer time scale, it is interesting to consider the circuital motion of the solar system in its galactic cycle and contemplate the fact that the Earth would cross the domain boundaries at different angles of incidence with a fourfold periodicity per galactic cycle. So that's the key. Just like I said, he's expecting a cube, and one of the problems with his model, and I'm not knocking him, but I'm just saying he only had cubes, and you have to add in the other sacred geometries as well, because as I've showed you multiple times, they all nest in with each other. They're all interconnected in this big holographic fractal universe. So when we hit those 4 corners, we would expect something to happen. Now, what did he just say in the last episode? He said that we have geomagnetic pole shifts taking place in approximately a 700,000 year cycle. He's equating that with a cube that we're passing through, which matches up very nicely with his theoretical calculations of what the cube would be based on the energy of our sun. So if we're actually seeing species disappearing and new species evolving as we hit these cubical walls, then he has laid the groundwork for the same discovery to be made if there is a cubical or octahedral structure like this on the galactic scale. Now, he didn't know that that had been done because the research hadn't even existed at the time that he made this theoretical statement. And yet, in the aftermath, we find that exact result. It is stunning. So let's take a look at this now. If we have, and you'll see why in a minute, the approximate age of the galaxy now, the age of its spin is 250 million years. It's very easy to shave off 2 million years, no problem. So what is 248 million years divided by 4? That would mean 4 places that are equidistant, right? So you get the same number of years between each of the 4 points. You divide 248 by 4 to get the distance between each cycle. And it comes out to 62 million years. We're not doing any fudge factors here. 248 million is a perfectly acceptable number for the spin of the galaxy. So we have a 62 million year cycle. It frickin' blew me away to find out a confirmation in the fossil record of this exact same length of time. Let's take a look now. So what you're seeing here is a diagram done by Robert Mueller and Robert Rode, two scientists from the University of California, Berkeley. And what they are doing is they're looking at the most exhaustive collection of fossils ever compiled by two earlier paleontologists, David Raup and James Sepkoski from University of Chicago. And what they found for the first time, and this is in the mid-2000s, was a new fossil cycle, which just so happens to be 62 million years long. That's right. Check it out. Let's read the caption. Cycles of extinction and biodiversity, meaning new life. Berkeley scientists have discovered that marine life has flourished and become extinct in unexplainable cycles, we know what it is, every 62 million years. In the most recent example in the chart below, many types of sponges grew most abundant and then vanished about 65 million years ago, the same period when a monster asteroid or comet or solar flash crashed to the Earth and drove the world's dinosaurs to extinction. This is heavy, heavy stuff.